So much room now. This is awesome.
Okay, can we call the meeting to order, please? And if we could stand and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public announcements. I just wanted to congratulate the Mark Chirokas fundraising committee. They had a fundraiser for Mark on Saturday night, and there was a tremendous outpouring of support. Many people, I think they raised a lot of money for Mark, and during this time of Thanksgiving, if everybody could just keep Mark in their thoughts and in their prayers. And also the family of Michaela Guerrero, a 15-year-old girl from Abington who passed away very suddenly last week. If everybody could just think of her parents and her family and friends. I'm sure they're going through a very difficult time at this point. Does anybody else have any public announcements? Public appointments, we have none, correct?
None.
Action discussion items, granting of special municipal employee status. And we adopted the policy for granting special municipal employee status about, I think, 3 months ago. Maybe a little longer. We've sent out a couple of letters to elected and appointed town officials explaining the Selectmen's policy, explaining what special municipal employee status is, and asking for feedback from particular appointed and elected officials as to whether or not they wanted to continue with that status. And Dory put together a list here for everybody to take a look at as to who currently has a status, what committees have requested that the status continue. And we do have Lauren Goldberg here, who's an expert on special municipal employee status. And maybe, Lauren, if you could maybe just give a brief synopsis of what the status is and why it's granted, and just to fill us in a little once again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Essentially, all people who volunteer for the town, and work for the town, whether elected or appointed, part or full-time, compensated or uncompensated, are considered municipal employees for purposes of the Conflict of Interest Law. That means that they're subject to the restrictions and prohibitions of the statute. There are restrictions on participating in matters in which you have a personal financial interest, which special municipal employee status does not affect in any way. Special municipal employee status really has two statutes that it implicates, or that it lessens the implication of. The first is Section 17, Chapter 268A, Section 17, and that allows a person who has been designated as a special municipal employee to appear on behalf of persons other than themselves, their immediate family member, with respect to matters in front of boards or committees or offices that have nothing to do with what they do. In addition, that's the short form of that. And then in addition, it affects the application of Section 20. Section 20 prohibits a municipal employee from having a second contract with the town, and a second contract is defined to include a second paid position with the town. So if you're a special municipal employee, you can hold more than one position with the town more easily than a regular municipal employee can. In terms of who is a special municipal employee, the Board of Selectmen designates special municipal employees, and they're either people that are unpaid or that work for less than a certain number of hours in a year, and are able to hold other positions in addition to their original special municipal employee position. And it's really the Selectmen's discretion as to whether to make anyone a special municipal employee. And I know we've had a lot of talk about this before, that that's a policy decision that the board needs to make in terms of whether it believes that it's appropriate for people to be designated as special municipal employees, and the law leaves that directly in the hands of the Board of Selectmen. I know this board has adopted a policy to address that issue, and has reached out to members of appointed committees and positions, elected positions and appointed positions, to notify them essentially that this is something the board is taking a look at, and that's why we're here tonight.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of Attorney Goldberg?
Not yet.
Tom?
I just have a, perhaps a case study. The other night at a special town meeting, there's a resident, actually my neighbor. I believe he's on the library trustee. And he's very active in town, in particular in the youth sports group. But right now, as we sit here, I think that committee is, most committees here have special municipal employee status. If we take that away from that committee, and he, for example, went up and applied for a permit for a field on the Park and Rec Department, would he be in violation of Section 268A 17?
Mr. Chairman? Yes. The short answer, I'm not going to directly respond to the particular facts you laid out, only because I like to talk in hypotheticals. Anytime you talk about the conflict of interest law, you really need to be looking directly at particular facts. But let's just say there's an individual who is on a board that's a special municipal employee board, and they wanted to represent someone other than themselves. So they go in, you know, use your Park and Rec example, and they go into Park and Rec to apply for a field, use of a field on behalf of a private organization, and they're a special municipal employee position, then that's okay under Section 17, as long as it's not something they've ever been involved in or that's been within their responsibility within the past year, or that's pending in their own agency. So that would be okay. If tonight you withdrew the special municipal employee status from that town board, then in the future that individual could not represent someone other than themselves in a matter in which the town had a direct and substantial interest, such as requesting use of a field, because the town issues that permit. So the notion is that under the conflict of interest law, the legislature has said municipal employees are going to have one focus when it comes to dealing with the town. And that's going to be their official role for the town. I mean, they're not going to come up before the town on matters other than town matters, you know, where they're representing the town's interests. So that's the general rule. And when you make someone a special, or you make the position a special municipal employee position, you are essentially saying, look, your service to the town in this one area is relatively narrow. And so we're willing to allow you to appear in other circumstances on behalf of other entities in front of town entities. And we don't think that that's such a significant issue based upon the type of position, that you hold. So we, as a policy matter, as a matter of our discretion, decide that that's okay. And we'll let you do that. So, you know, let's just take the Parks and Rec Commission. You know, they deal with field things. Let's say they were a special municipal employee, and one of them says, you know what, I would really like to, they deal with fields, they deal with park programs. Someone comes in and says, can we be special municipal employees because I am a septic system designer, and I want to do private septic system work in the town, and I can't sign plans unless you designate my position as a special municipal employee position. So the analysis would be, okay, Parks and Rec does this. What this, you know, this person is talking about something that's totally aside from that. If we made them a special, they would have the ability to appear, sign plans, and represent entities in front of other boards, and we're okay with that. But there may be other positions that you don't feel okay, like, and you know, I'm not picking favorites, believe me, but let's say it's like the planning board. You might say, gosh, planning issues are so important here that we're not comfortable with the idea of planning board members also appearing before other boards. Or maybe it's finance committee, and you say, you know, we want finance committee members to be so independent of other issues, of other interests, that we're going to require them not to be. So those are the types of considerations that would go in. And a lot of towns do make these decisions on a case-by-case basis based on individual requests. And a lot of times out of inertia. This is how it's always been. These positions have always been specials, or they haven't been. And so towns say, you know, we're fine. When people were appointed to the planning board, they realized they were never going to be able to serve in another position in town because they never have been allowed to. No big deal. But those rec commissioners, they've always been allowed to serve in multiple positions with the town and to represent other entities before the town, and that they knew that when they were appointed. So those are the types of things that boards and committees, that boards of selectmen think about when they look at these issues.
Oh.
Thank you, Andy. But coming into tonight, I guess one of my premises is, a lot of volunteers in Abington that, get elected and appointed to boards, and typically these people, serve in a lot of different sorts of volunteer capacities. So my premise is I didn't want to put inadvertently some of these volunteers in harm's way. So my question is there degrees, in that example I gave you, that, if somebody's representing somebody in a paid position as an attorney and doesn't have special municipal employee status versus my neighbor who's volunteering, both on the library trustees and also on the soccer board. Because, this town has a history of, maybe people going out after, if, you cross each other or whatever. And I just wouldn't want to see somebody get their name dragged through the paper for some sort of innocent, violation, because it just doesn't seem to me the spirit of the law is for that volunteer who's serving on the library trustees, volunteering, and on the soccer board should be put in harm's way.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There's nothing in the law that says intentionally representing someone as an attorney or signing a plan and intentionally putting your stamp on there is any different than being a volunteer for the soccer organization and coming before the town. My experience is that it is possible, although you can never guarantee, that the Ethics Commission would look at those instances differently. But it's, it's not something that you can count on because it's not something that's in the law. There's a lot of matters that are resolved by the Ethics Commission informally. And they essentially get a complaint, and the complaint itself is confidential, and they reach out to the individual and they say, we've gotten this complaint, usually by writing, sometimes with a telephone call. We've received this complaint, is there anything that you want to tell us? What's your side of it? And then very often, particularly if it's accidental, they'll write another letter that says, we've looked at this, we're aware of these facts, and be advised that if the facts are true, then taking action similar to what's been alleged would constitute a violation. And that's essentially a warning. Don't do that again. And if you did something like that again after you were warned, they would look at it differently, I'm sure, than the first time. Once that confidential letter is issued, it's up to the individual about whether they want to share it or not. And if they don't share it, the Ethics Commission will neither confirm nor deny that it's sent that letter. And that is their typical way of dealing with volunteer-type issues. Again, if they think there's a more serious violation, if they think it's intentional, if it involved substantial sums of money, then they might take a different position, and then they would start off potentially with this kind of informal resolution, but they could ramp it up to a more formal case. It's unusual. I mean, if you look on the Commission's website, which you can, anybody can do, you're going to see a number of decisions that they've issued, and you can see the types of things that rise to the level of them taking more significant action. But they take every complaint seriously.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ken?
I guess my question is, as a selectman, we do not receive special municipal status. So I'm in the Lions Club, and I fill out a form I'm the secretary of the Lions Club, and I fill out a form for a permit for our chuck wagon, or whatever you want to call it, and I give it to the Board of Health. Now, is that a violation for me to, because I'm secretary supposed to sign it? You understand what I mean? I know what the intent of this is, but the reality is something different, and it's so cloudy. And after you answer that, I have another question that coincides with that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm just going to answer your question hypothetically, because I really like to deal with hypotheticals instead of actual situations. Selectmen in towns of more than 10,000 residents are not special municipal employees, so selectmen cannot represent anyone other than themselves, except for the very few exceptions that are in the statute, in front of the town, or anything to do with the town. And you aren't allowed to vote to give yourself special municipal employee status. It's by operation of law. So like any municipal employee, a regular municipal employee, you have to follow, selectmen would have to follow the restrictions set forth in the statute for municipal employees.
Now, I'm on the Historical Commission, okay? Now, if they get voted special municipal
Hypothetically.
status. Yes, hypothetically. If they receive special municipal status, then can I go and present that form to the Board of Health? Do you see what I'm saying? It's
I know, Mr. Chairman. I understand what you're saying. If you're special in one capacity and you're not in another, does that special status kind of spread to the original non-special capacity? And the answer is no. You're still restricted by your municipal employee status from acting. So even if you just had that other position and you were able to act in your special municipal employee position in interactions with the town, the fact that you're a municipal employee in another capacity means that you can't do those things.
Ask the question, if you want a selectman, could you, and you got one designation on
That
the
answer your question?
sport and,
Yeah, I guess so.
and didn't in the other.
Well, Mr. Chairman, can I jump in for 1 second? I don't mean to be cagey. The answer is, if you are not a special municipal employee in all of your positions with the town, then you're just a regular municipal employee for purposes of the law. It doesn't matter if you're a selectman or if you're any other regular municipal full-time employee. Like if you're John, for example, John's a regular municipal employee, so he can't appear in other capacities, even if he also served on another committee as a special municipal employee. Next time I'll pick on Dory.
Unless it's ex officio.
Unless it's ex officio. Ex officio positions are deemed to be part of your original position. They're not an additional position with the town. And anything that you're asked to do, if your committee asks you to appear before another committee on its behalf, you're acting in your municipal capacity in that respect. You're not acting on behalf of a private entity.
okay.
Any other questions at this point?
I have one more question.
Sure.
You're going to start off with
Keep 'em coming,
hypothetically?
yeah. Hypothetical.
No, this one actually isn't hypothetical.
No, they all are.
You deal with this with numerous towns throughout the state. Can you just kind of give us a breakdown as how most towns handle this? Are there any towns that do, no one in town will receive this? Or are there some towns that say everyone can receive it? Or is it just limited? I mean, how, is it different all over the state?
Yes.
Okay.
I know, I was just looking to say yes because, I so often have to say no as a lawyer, so I wanted to say yes. No, the real answer is that there are towns where they don't make any employees special municipal employees. And there are towns where they make everyone special municipal employees, and there are towns in between that deal with it on a case-by-case basis. There is no one right answer except for what's the right answer for you, for Abington. And I know that that's tough because it doesn't leave you with a great, we'll do that. There is no right way. It's the way that you all decide it to be. And it's not permanent. It's not forever. You can make a decision tonight, and you could change your mind 3 months from now or 3 days from now, and that's okay too. The implications, though, for people that are now special municipal employees, if you were to take that status away, is something that is a real thing. In that people that are currently special municipal employees that could appear on behalf of other individuals, including people that do that in a professional or, a paid capacity, could no longer so appear. They could not any further represent in front of town boards and committees. So it has serious implications for them. In terms of people that are not specials, that you might make specials, it has implications for them as well, but they're potential or prospective.
The hypothetical intent of this whole special municipal employee status, the way I see it is so that professionals don't represent before town boards. Is that, mostly for professionals?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I don't know if that's the only purpose. There's a few cases out there that look at this issue, what does it mean to have this capacity, to special municipal employee capacity? And the analysis is essentially that there can be the benefit of being a special municipal employee means that, now let me take it from the other way. The limitation on being a special municipal employee, the limitation on appearing before other town boards is because of this notion that you should have one master, and that master is the town, one allegiance, that being the town. But the other side, and I know I've talked about this at a meeting when I was here previously, is that particularly in small towns, when the most active people are people that may be active in other capacities in town as well, and I don't necessarily mean holding more than one position with the town, but having other private involvement in other private groups, or being active on behalf of other private citizens, is that it allows that type of representation when they are specials. And if they're not, it means they can really just do those things behind the scenes. So that's what the balance is. It's between this idea of having the town and your town position being your only focus and your only master, your only job is to think about how something would affect the town, versus being a special and being able to appear on behalf of other people than the town in matters in which the town has a direct and substantial interest, where clearly your goal isn't the town, it's your private representation, whether that's paid or not. You're there for a reason other than town reasons. Now, it may be that in reality there are town reasons for being there. And I'm thinking about unpaid volunteers right now who, you know, the soccer people and the lacrosse people and the football folks and people that are looking to have an arts festival or a bake sale or anything like that, religious groups, other types of non-commercial groups. And people that are municipal employees for purposes of the law may also be in those groups, and they may want to appear before the town, fill out permit applications, etc. And the question becomes, as a policy matter, does this board prefer that those people, the people that are town employees, whether paid or unpaid, appointed, elected, compensated or uncompensated, not be the ones that have those interactions, that it be other people that are required to do those things, or whether the town thinks, you know, we want as many people involved from as many places as possible, and we think that it's okay if they also represent the town, you know, if they're also on the town's side in certain instances. And that's why I said, you know, it may be that certain positions get a different analysis than others. An ad hoc kind of interim committee that's created for a short time period or to deal with one issue and then goes, you know, kind of away until it gets brought back maybe a while later. That may be the type of thing that you all have no issue making special municipal employees, because you don't want those people to have to change the way they interact with the town because they agreed to volunteer on a committee. Versus it may be that more permanent committees or more permanent positions, you say, you know, gee, those people we would prefer have more limited interaction with the town in other ways. But that doesn't mean that's the only way that that analysis can work. And, you know, again, I think in smaller towns, you see people serving in more capacities. And one of the benefits of special municipal employee status is that it allows them to have additional positions with the town without having to go through kind of an onerous list of criteria to be met. And so that benefit might outweigh these other concerns about the one master. And it may be that you say, gosh, we want these volunteers to be able to serve, you know, in 3 or 4 positions for which they receive a small stipend, and, you know, and we're okay with that. We value that. So it's hard to make a sweeping judgment about what's right, even when you're thinking about this one master issue.
Anything else? Any other questions at this point? Okay, thank you very much, Laura. Okay, so we do have a list.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Franny.
inasmuch as this is about as clear as mud to me, but in an honest attempt to avoid the appearance of a conflict, I would feel better, having given this a lot of thought, if I recuse myself from this debate, given the fact that I have 2 relatives by marriage, one who serves as moderator, one who serves in the school committee, and a brother who serves on the finance committee. I think it would be more appropriate if I did not, and I would prefer to abstain from this discussion. Thank you.
It's certainly up to you, Mike. Okay, so again, we have a list of the current special municipal employees. I think we're all aware of the history of how we got here. We adopted the policy, as I said, back in October. So I think, Lauren, the Ethics Commission prefers if you take each committee individually. Is that my understanding?
They do.
So I think that's how we should proceed, as opposed to a vote yes or no on the whole list.
Could I make a suggestion? Based
Yes.
on our list that we have before us, would we then be only acting on the ones that have indicated they wish to be considered? So those that have not, or are you going to?
Well, that's a good question, because everybody on this list currently has it.
Correct.
So if we just act on the list of people who are requesting it and leave the others as is, then they would still have it, I would imagine.
Correct.
Right, so we probably should act on each one individually and say yes or no,
Okay.
I would think.
That's fine. That's fine. Yep.
So,
Lauren, I don't know if you have any, if you have a better idea, but,
Mr. Chairman, if you decide not to act on any of the ones that are currently special municipal employees, that will effectively leave them as special municipal employees. So it could be that you not act on them, recontact and do it a different time, but, you know, as I understand it, the people that haven't responded here didn't, that aren't listed here didn't respond.
that's my understanding. Everybody received the letter, or was sent the letter, and
Twice.
twice. All right.
Mr. Chairman, would you repeat that? Are you saying everybody in this list has not responded?
Well, if you see the comments, like on the Abington Arts Council, one,
Oh,
two,
you'll
there's
go to
yeses
the list.
next to that,
in the packet, it's got a yes next to it.
Okay. I'm
in the
sorry.
packet that went out,
Packet?
those are the folks that have actually
Yeah, it's in
responded.
there. It's on the second page.
So, but there are some committees on this list where no one responded. There are some on here with some responded yes, some responded no, some where everybody responded no, some where everybody responded yes. Yes,
The other
Tom?
question, as I recall from our last discussion, is if we vote one member of a committee, whether it be 3 or 10 or 11,
Right.
they all
The
get it.
whole committee receives that status, yes. Yeah. Okay. Is there a South Shore Tri-Town, oh, yeah, that's in place now. So South Shore Tri-Town Development Corporation Advisory Board member.
I
Currently,
abstain from this.
he currently has the status, and I guess he's requested the status to continue, correct?
Correct.
Is there a motion on that?
The motion would be to continue the status. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And you got that I abstain from that.
And one abstention, I'm sorry, Kevin. Fence viewer? Do we have a fence viewer?
We do.
We do.
The superintendent of streets.
Okay, so he hasn't requested it.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, then he should, if it's a separate.
You want to make a motion to,
I'll make a
Fence
motion, we
viewer.
approve the fence viewer.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Did the superintendents of streets apply for it? I don't understand. It's the same person.
Effectively, if he isn't granted the status, then he cannot act as fence viewer. So,
Why can't he act as fence viewer? Because he has to go...
because it's a separate position. If it was accompanied as part of his duties, that wouldn't be a problem. It's a separate position, and therefore, if we don't grant it, then he can't act as fence viewer, which I'm quite sure he probably won't cry over, but, you know. And I'm ventured to say the position of fence viewer probably doesn't enact or view fences probably once in 10 years, but nonetheless, it's embodied in statute, and if there is a dispute, somebody has to go out and do it, so.
Tom?
Kevin, just, is what I understood Lauren to say hypothetically, and the reason I think we should give status to fence viewer if it's a superintendent of streets, is that what we said?
That's my understanding, right? He's the
Okay.
superintendent of streets,
So
is the fence viewer.
if he were in some other list here as we go through, and we denied him on the fence viewer, but we approved him on the other,
He would
then
not have.
he would not be able to perform his duties. So I think that we'd want to provide status for
Mark?
fence viewer.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's possible. I think the bigger issue here, though, is what Kevin indicated, is that if he's holding two positions with the town, the fact that this position is a special municipal employee position makes it easier to hold those two positions. And as described, they're two separate positions.
But Laura, I guess my broader concern would be, as we go down this, and if I know of volunteers that might be on two committees, I'm cognizant not to deny one committee and approve it on the other, which in effect nulls that individual from representing the soccer board, the lacrosse, or whatever. So
That's
that's
true.
the only position.
Yes,
Point
yeah,
I was
if
making.
they're regular municipal employees on one committee and special municipal employees on the other, they're still subject to the rules applicable to regular municipal
That's what I
employees.
thought, thank you. So I seconded that.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second on the fence viewer position. Any further discussion?
That was in our packet.
If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Abington Arts Council,
Move we approve.
Second.
any discussion on the Abington Arts Council? Ken?
I thought the boards were gonna come before us and explain why we needed to be a special.
Well, they did
municipal-
submit forms, I
Right.
understand that, and the policy actually does say that they should appear in front of us. So,
But they all wanna be on it.
Well, even if one was, let's
Right,
say
right,
legitimate,
right.
but we gotta give it to all.
Well, we don't
Well-
have to.
I'm sorry, you're right, you're right.
I understand your point. The policy is pretty clear that they're supposed to, if they, not just request it in writing, but they should come before us to explain their rationale for wanting it. There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
It's 3-1. Board of Assessors,
I'll make the motion to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I can do this for everyone.
You could, well, no, there are some people here, and I would say on this one, our policy does say that if you're a regulatory or a policy-making committee, then our general policy is not to give status to that type of a committee, but, so, that being said, for the Board of Assessors, we have a motion and a second. Is there that's all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
I'm opposed also.
And so their status is still in effect because we haven't revoked it and we haven't granted it. So
Yes, Lauren?
de facto, they still are there.
Mr. Chairman, that's accurate because it's a 2-2 vote. It makes no change to the status quo, and the status quo is to have them have that status. So that would continue until there is a vote to revoke the status.
Okay.
Bylaw Review Committee, they have not requested the status.
I would make a motion to revoke this special municipal employee designation.
I don't think they ever had.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Cable Advisory Committee, they have not responded.
Is there still a cable advisory committee?
There is?
Yeah, they were here the other night.
No, that was CAM, that was
That's
something
CAM.
different.
Oh,
There is
sorry.
still a Cable Advisory Committee, yeah.
I would make a motion to revoke the special municipal employee designation of the cable advisory committee.
Is there a second? I'll second it.
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
Second.
Kevin, second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Computer Study Committee is no longer active, correct?
Do we still have to revoke it, though? Or does it?
If they had it.
Technically, it should.
Then if it,
You probably should.
then they have it. So if you don't revoke it, and for some reason it was.
They reestablish
revived,
themselves.
They would still be
All right,
special.
I move we revoke the Computer Study Committee.
Is there a second?
A second?
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Conservation Commission?
Make the motion, we approve.
Second.
Again, the policy says if it's a policymaking or regulatory board, then our general policy should be not to grant the status. So, my opinion, I don't think Conservation Commission as a regulatory board should have the status, but
In my opinion is, I mean, are there professionals on that board, are there people that, would, I'm not sure if they're just lay people on the board or not, and they're not here to explain themselves, so.
Mhm. So there's a motion and a second to continue the status. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So that stays the same also because they currently have the status. Council on Aging,
Move we approve?
Second?
a second. Any discussion on the Council on Aging? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Commission on Disabilities has not requested it.
Move we revoke it?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Finance Committee,
Move we approve?
I'll second.
any discussion?
Are they a regulatory, what are we calling it?
Regulatory,
definitely
they're an
advisory.
advisory committee. Then regulatory, public policy making an appointing authority. My opinion, it's a very powerful committee that I don't think should have it, but that's my opinion. And again, I don't think there's anybody on there who actually is in the position that needs it, but
Although there are a lot of,
there's a lot of volunteers for other committees, yes. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
no,
No. So that stays the same. Strawberry Valley Golf Course Committee, they've requested it.
I'll make the motion we approve.
Is there a second?
second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Griffin's Dairy Committee, they've requested it. We have a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Aren't they a limited time committee, like,
Mhm.
about?
They've actually done pretty much what they're supposed to be doing. I think they've made a
I'm gonna have to
recommendation.
abstain from this one.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Well, we're not in discussion, so.
I'll second your motion for discussion purposes.
Yeah, my only concern here is, as I understand the law, at any time, this can be revoked. But again, just knowing some of the personalities here, if an individual applied for, let's say, a St. Vincent de Paul permit to run a dance or a fundraiser, that individual would technically be in violation. So my thought is, when it officially debands, then we can revoke it. But at this point, again, I wouldn't want to put any of those, I think it's 3 members in harm's way.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Opposed and 1 abstention. Growth Management Committee is no longer active.
Move we revoke it?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Board of Health? They
Move
have
we
not.
revoke it?
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Historical Commission.
Move we approve?
I guess I have to abstain from this, right? 'Cause I'm not a special.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
You're always special, Ken.
Yeah, I'm special, all right.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abington Housing Authority.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
They have, special use laws.
I'm gonna say by statute.
Employee status by statute.
By statute, okay. Thank you. Abington Housing Partnership.
What is that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
That's a good question. I don't,
That's actually Bruce Hughes is that. He's a representative for that. We've had that for a while. It used to be Brian Desmond years ago.
it's just one individual,
Just one individual.
and do they serve as a liaison to a committee, or?
I'm I'm not,
Joe?
I think what they've involved in the past is we get an affordable housing project come into town. They have to work with that project, once it's going in, on the whole question of what we lottery issue and so forth for selection of the residents and some other issues. I think that is my impression of what it is limited to.
That's correct, and that was, I remember it came on when would he be off High Street? That's when that was.
Okay, I'll move we approve it.
I'll second.
Just, I would like
John?
to say something.
Yep.
Just one other thought. We now have a grant for $800,000. They're going to form another housing-type partnership for the program itself. That has not been formed yet, but that may or may not come back with a request, and I want to make sure that you understand that there are two separate boards here.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Second, yeah.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Land Reuse Board of Directors, no longer active.
You should revoke it. Which land this is,
Is this a,
this is,
is this the airbase, do you know, or this Land Reuse Board of Directors?
I don't think that it's
I
active. We
think
don't have any-
it goes back to the Naval Air Station Planning
Okay.
Committee days, Joe.
It could
think it
go
does.
back, the term reuse was used on the Naval Air
Right.
Yeah. You should probably, all right.
There's also an advisory board.
I know, yeah, but there were a couple out there, I think, that were working.
The name may change over the years. I think it was usually when I became a selectman, it was called the reuse committee, because at the time the question was reuse.
Mhm.
I think later it became an advisory board for the town only, separate from the advisory board for the airbase itself. The advisory
Right.
board was set up to advise the town, especially if we had a town meeting, as we had in 2005. Because of several members, one of whom was a town planner. One of them was a member of the planning board. And the other was, I think at the time, was Jackie Reynolds, who was also the advisory board. So there were members, a lot of them, who all, I think it was 5 or 6 members, I think several of them held other positions in town because of the nature of the board, the advisory committee.
Okay.
But they're no longer
They're
active.
no longer. I'll move we revoke the Land Use Board of Directors and the Land Reuse Advisory Board because they're no longer active.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the ayes have it. Board of Library Trustees, and I know Henry, you say, I don't know if you want to say something, Henry, on behalf of the trustees, or,
That's all right. I'll move we approve it.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just want Henry to get up and talk.
Okay, so we have motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Middle School Site Selection Committee is no longer active.
Move we revoke it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moderator,
Move we approve.
I'll second.
there's a second. Any discussion on the moderator's position? Again, our policy says that positions that have appointing authority, which the moderator does, or they appoint the Finance Committee, the Charter Review Committee, also sits on the Town Manager Search Committee. So as a general rule, the policy says that those types of positions should not have the status. I don't think the moderator's position should have the status. I don't know if anybody has any more discussion on that. If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Still has it, though.
Yes. Deputy Moderator,
Move we approve.
is there a second?
Can I just ask a question
Sure.
on this? Does the deputy moderator just get up in the middle of the meeting, like if the moderator can't act, or is it like a position that would be appointing at some point? You know what I mean? I mean, you guys all know, you guys have all been moderators at some point. but-
I think they just fill in
Yeah,
at town
it's-
meeting. There's nothing in the charter that says there's a deputy moderator
Okay.
that would take over in the event of the moderator's absence, but
Yeah,
I don't, in the charter? Not in the charter.
in the original charter there was.
Not in the existing charter.
Not the new improved charter.
Not so new and improved.
The original charter, when I was moderator, it was there.
Yeah, but this one,
Oh, the new one.
go ahead, Lauren.
Mr. Chairman, unless there's something in the charter or the bylaws that specifically gives the deputy moderator some power, There is no deputy moderator position under state law. It's more of a deputy is elected at a meeting on a meeting-to-meeting basis. I do have your charter, and I can take a minute to look at it if you want to come back to it, but I don't recall that being in there.
Andy's right, there's nothing about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
well.
there really isn't a formal deputy moderator position, in my opinion. Jonathan.
So Kevin was wrong.
There's always a first time. There's always a first time.
I'm going back to the 1970 charter.
I certainly wasn't saying that.
So would awarding this position status mean anything if it's not even a position that's,
No, it
I
shouldn't
don't
do
see
it.
how it could, because there is no
okay.
state deputy moderator, state law deputy moderator position. Is there somebody that acts as a deputy moderator?
yes.
There's
Mr.
routinely, we have one, and he does serve as the treasurer of the South Shore Board
Yeah.
of Tax, so there could potentially be a conflict.
But it's
But-
meeting to meeting.
But isn't
Yeah.
it anything born out of town meeting, though? Isn't in terms of any position that would be born out of town meeting, at town meeting, voted by town meeting, would I be correct in saying that it wouldn't be an issue? The whole idea is disclosure. If the people assembled at town meeting vote on anything, that sort of washes clean the whole idea of any potential issues.
Mr. Chairman, it seems to me that, and again, with all due respect to the past charter, that if there isn't a deputy moderator position in the charter, then there's really nothing formal. It would be more that, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the gentleman's name.
Bob
Kelly. Really, he's offering at each meeting to be elected as a temporary moderator when he comes forward to take Sean's place if Sean isn't able to act on something or chooses not to, or he's absent. But that position wouldn't last from meeting to meeting. It's really each meeting making the decision. So I personally don't see how this status really does anything, because I don't see that the position actually exists.
So if the position doesn't exist, it's therefore not properly before us, and I don't think we really need to act on
So
it.
it doesn't have status anyways, basically.
Correct.
Yeah,
All right, so
okay.
we can just cross it off.
Spent more time discussing that.
Yeah. Municipal Scholarship and Education Committee. What do they do?
I'm not sure. I know it exists. I spoke with Felicia about it, and she was researching it.
Yes. Lauren, thank you.
Don't the little checkoff box on the tax form?
It's exactly,
Oh.
if there's a
I
checkoff
do
box
know
on your
something.
tax forms for scholarship, then you have a committee that's there to determine how best to distribute those scholarship funds. In other towns where there is no checkoff box and there's a committee of this nature, it's not a statutory committee, but it would, it would exist if it was created by bylaw or if it was created by the board to advise it. But there is a statutory scholarship committee related to a checkoff box on the tax form.
I would make a motion to revoke the special municipal designation for the Municipal Scholarship and Education Committee.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Open Space Committee?
Move we revoke it.
Second?
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Park and Recreation Commission?
Move we approve.
I'll second.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
I'm a no also.
I still get it.
Yep, they still have it, yep.
That's the whole theme of this meeting.
Right.
Permanent Building Committee is no longer active.
Move we revoke it. How's that?
Any discussion? I'm sorry, we need a second. Yes, second. Any discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it. Planning Board? Is there a motion?
Move we approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Again, the policy.
Professionals on the board? or-
Are they professionals? There is a local contractor on the board.
I
Well, he asked about if there's professionals. Lions Club member doesn't count as a professional.
Hey, hey,
I am a Lions Club
we're
member,
not
so I can say that.
unprofessional.
Yeah. But I believe if you're a local builder, you can still apply for permits. Is that correct, Lauren?
Certain exemptions for permits.
We'll come back to that one then. Police Station Building Advisory Committee is no longer active.
Move we revoke.
Second.
In a second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Registrar of Voters.
Move will approve.
Is there a second?
No.
Second.
The Registrar of Voters is basically checking voting lists.
Oh.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
You
We're
vote-
not gonna count your
no,
votes.
well-
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
In the last meeting.
The exemption in the law provides, this section shall not prevent a municipal employee from applying on behalf of anyone for a building, electrical, wiring, plumbing, gas fitting, or septic system permit, nor from receiving compensation in relation to any such permit, unless such employee is employed by or provides services to the permit granting agency or an agency that regulates the activities of the permit granting agency.
Which would be the planning board.
Well, no, the planning board doesn't regulate the
Doesn't.
building department, I don't think.
No.
That you,
No.
town manager does that, correct?
Well,
Correct? Okay.
indirectly,
Indirectly.
nothing direct.
So we did have a motion on the planning board to grant the status, and there was a second. Is there any further discussion?
There is an architect on the board too, though.
There is, yep, there is, yep. But they're also a regulatory board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unopposed? School committee? We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Again, in my opinion, they're a policy-making board, and I don't think folks sitting on the school committee should be representing people in front of other boards and committees, but that's my opinion. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. Board of Sewer Commissioners? There's only one response, and they aren't requesting it. We have a motion?
Motion to revoke this special municipal designation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. South Shore Regional School Liaison, not requesting it.
Motion to revoke for the South Shore Regional.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Yes. My concern here is a little bit like the deputy moderator. And does the selectman or does the school committee appoint
Selectmen.
Selectmen.
selectmen? Okay, so I guess my question is, if the town has a position that's representing a budget for the South Shore VOTEC, would that be in conflict with what their board is?
No, I think you
No,
said that's not a conflict, correct?
No, no, go ahead.
I don't think
So
so.
the liaison to the South Shore Regional School Committee sits on the South Shore Regional School Committee as the Abington representative.
If that position is as a result of, if it's an ex officio position, or it's required that that board, the town school committee, appoint one of its own members as the liaison, then that would not constitute a second position.
This is a
Do you-
separate position. This is a position that's appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, it's appointed by the
To
Board
sit
of
on the
To
regional
sit
school
on
committee.
that. But there may be other communities who may have granted an exemption status for one of the members of that committee.
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding, maybe I'm not a lawyer, but I thought all the towns in that regional school district had to approve that in order for it to go into effect,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Special municipal exemption status?
I
If-
believe.
If a person is a district appointee, then every single community in the district has to appoint that person as a special municipal employee or that position, or they can't act as a special in any community. So then they're subject to every single, they're considered a municipal employee in every single community in the district.
That is in the district.
So, and I do want to point out that I'm not exactly sure, if this is a town position, then that's different, but it could
It's-
have a larger effect than intended to change that
It's a
designation.
town's representative
To this district
this
position.
committee.
So it could have a significant effect on that,
On that,
that person.
Why don't we
the person
research it
serving.
out before you vote on it?
yeah, there's some implications there that.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm not sure if the
No, that's a
applicant
good
fully
catch.
understood.
Yep.
And I think she's got some other interest, that she could be applying for permits and
Yeah.
other things that, so she, as it
She,
stands
well,
now,
again, she has it here,
she
but
has it
she has to
right
have
now.
it district-wide,
Right.
not just here. She has to have it district-wide. So I don't know where she stands where things stand district-wide. Joe?
Joe Shea, 3 Wyman Road, Abington. Question, does that same policy hold for the position I presently hold on the advisory board on the airbase, with its representatives from all 3 towns, among other people, and for the board of directors for the airbase?
Lauren?
The bo-
You mean all towns having to have adopted the special municipal employee status for a particular position?
Basically, Weymouth and Rockland.
Correct.
Again, if it's a district position, so it's a position on a board or committee that's representing a district, it's deemed to be a board or committee of every single town. And so if every single town doesn't designate it as a special municipal employee position, then the person is treated as a regular municipal employee of each
In each
town.
municipality.
Yes.
You get that, Joe?
Yeah, we have to have somebody go through and check.
Each
with
town, yes.
Each, in this case, 2 towns.
Hypothetically. I was kidding.
Hypothetically, Joe.
Well, I mean, the other question is going to be, if the person doesn't appear before a board of commissioners in the town, it's an academic.
It's,
record.
exactly, yes, right. Mhm. Surplus Land Committee is no longer active.
Motion to revoke?
second,
Second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Tri-Town Airbase Reuse Impact Committee, no longer active. Is that the case?
The impact's already been determined.
Motion to revoke?
Is there a second? And a second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And one abstention. Veterans Memorial,
I'll make a motion to approve that committee.
even though they haven't requested it.
No, but I know that the members on there are very active in the Legion. They come before us for different things, other issues, so.
I'll second then.
Is that the Board of Memorial Trustees?
Yes.
Okay, so we have motion
We
and a
get
second.
discussion,
Well, the only discussion I have is they didn't request it, so I, yeah, but that's up.
We're only giving them, it's Thanksgiving.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed. Board of Water Commissioners, they haven't requested, actually, they specifically said no, whoever, or one person said no.
Move, we revoke it.
Second?
In a second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Website Committee, no longer active.
Motion to revoke?
Second.
In a second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Zoning Board of Appeals,
Move we approve.
I'll second.
in a second, discussion?
Yeah, do they fit in your criteria?
They do, they're, I believe they're a regulatory sort of a board.
I mean, are there any professional, I keep asking the same questions, any professionals that we know of on that board? Only one person checked off yes, right?
One person, yes. I don't know if there's any professionals. Yes, actually, there is. The newest member is a new member of the bar, but he was not the one who requested the status, so. Again, I don't think the zoning board should have it. I think that's a board that should be independent and acting just on behalf of the town, but my opinion again. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed. Computer Support Technician. Do we have such a
We do. It probably will go away at the beginning of next fiscal year, though.
Okay. That was voted in
Is it
February of
Bob Warner?
2004.
We're still paying him?
We are,
We are.
yep. Yeah,
They
but with-
they didn't request
They
it.
didn't request it.
No, he didn't request it.
I'll make a motion to revoke.
Motion to revoke it?
Second.
Is there a second? Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. These were voted in July of 2005, Animal Control Officer, and he has requested it.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Finance Committee Secretary. Is there a
I would
motion?
recommend we approve this.
Should
Yeah.
have it. I'll move we approve it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Planning Board Secretary,
I'll move we approve.
Second.
and a second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Tax Incremental Finance Committee, to me, this seems like it's a board, a committee that's formed only on certain instances. It's not always the same members that are on there.
Well, it is the same committee membership.
Makeup, as
Makeup,
far as
the makeup.
a member of the Finance Committee.
Member of the Board of Selectmen,
but-
member of the...
But it's not, there's not a Tax Incremental Finance Committee in place right now, right?
No, not necessarily. You could
I
make
think
it.
if one gets formed, then, and they needs the status, I think they should come in front of us at
Yeah,
that point in
okay.
time.
That makes sense.
Yes, Joe?
The deputy assessor is a member of that committee, I think, by the nature of the committee.
Yes.
Who is?
That's right, the deputy assessor.
But there is no committee in existence at this point in time.
But I would imagine that would,
But that goes by
it
virtue
would
of
be
their
ex
position.
officio.
Is that ex officio?
If there,
Go ahead, Lon.
if there's, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If they're serving on this committee by virtue of their position, so that the reason that they're serving is because you want the treasurer's perspective on this as the treasurer, then that wouldn't be considered a second position with the town. It would be the same, part of the same
Almost like
position.
an ex officio. And that was the same thing with Jack Pistorino, Leo
deputy assessor.
Provost, myself, serve as advisory people in our positions as
And the
as
other
town
members of
employees.
the TIF are a Finance Committee member,
Finance
Board of
Com-
Selectmen member, and a member of the Board of Assessors, I believe,
Board of Assessors zoning.
and the zoning.
It's a 5-member committee. But if you grant municipal exemption status to, as you have to the zoning board,
But again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think this committee is in existence if there's not a TIF application, is it, or?
but I think it's the issue of the fact that you have gone through and approved the committees. Now, any member of that committee is a special municipal exempt
Mhm.
person. And if that person also serves on the TIF committee, and you say no, then I think you have an issue.
Mr. Chairman, if the position, and I'm sorry, I don't have the bylaws with me, but is the TIF committee a product of the bylaws?
No.
It's just kind of an informal group? Because the.
We'd like to think of ourselves as more formal
More
than that,
formal. My point is, if every single one of those members is serving on the committee as a result of their official position with the town, then it doesn't sound to me like that's a second position. It's just simply a group of individuals of the town, already town employees, acting in furtherance of their original position.
However, you granted municipal exemption status to every member of the zoning board, the planning board, and other boards as well, and they serve on this committee. So the question is, do they need, if we revoke the status and they're appointed to this committee, where do they stand?
Again, I believe that as long as they're acting hypothetically, as long as they're acting in their official capacity. So let's just take, John Smith, who serves on the planning board. If John Smith serves on the tax increment financing committee as part of his planning board duties, it's not a new committee
That's
or a
not
new position.
hypothetical.
However, hypothetically, if we're talking about something, let's just say the Community Preservation Committee, for example, if that's, you know, if you're not serving on that committee because you were in a municipal capacity already and you're appointed as like a Board of Selectmen appointment or something like that, that would be a new committee, even though it's made up of other positions. So I think that the issue here, and again, if this isn't a committee that's created by bylaw, and it's not created by the charter, and it's simply a function of getting interested town staff and members of relevant committees acting in their official capacities to serve on it, then it doesn't seem like it would need the special municipal employee status. However, if there's a question about that, and it sounds like the manager is concerned about it, it may make sense to just leave this be so that there isn't a risk, at least for now, and you could look further into it.
We'll research it.
Okay, we'll hold off on it. We won't act on that at all until, you can do some research on that, John.
Yeah.
Let's see, Summer Concerts Committee, Tricentennial Committee, we're gonna have those voted on the 10th, I guess. Abington representative to the Board of Directors, South Shore Tri-Town Development, we've already done that, right? That was the first one.
No, two different positions.
Corporation, oh, Advisory Board, I'm sorry, yep.
I abstain from this.
So this is the Abington representative on the Board of Directors of the South Shore Tri-Town Development Corporation.
Didn't we voted this, right?
We voted this on July 16th, 2012.
So if we did nothing, that individual has it.
Correct.
And you want to vote it again?
Well, we're voting on every one, so I think we
Right.
should probably take an affirmative vote one way or the other. Just,
All right, I'll make the motion to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
And a second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. One abstention. Not voted but requested on November 19th, 2012. Administrative Assistant to the Board of Selectmen, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Conservation Commission.
Move we approve.
I'll second.
Is that one person or three people?
One person.
It's
It's one person in three positions. It's a third, and third.
So we have a motion and a second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Sealer of Weights and Measures.
I abstain.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
No, this person requested it?
Did.
You did, yes.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and one abstention. That
That it?
completes the list.
Now, do town employees, other town employees, like, let's just say, for example, police chief, fire chief, are they part of this group too? No town
You
employees?
want to
are.
answer that, Lauren, just so
I'm sorry, I
people
just-
understand? Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, no full-time town employees are eligible to be designated as special municipal employees, so it's only part-time or uncompensated.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
And that,
Mr.
if
Rowley.
if that is the case, then the finance secretary is a full-time employee by our definition, 32 hours a week. It's a full-time position in the town. And she also serves as the finance secretary.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think the important thing to remember here is that it's not a person who's being designated, it's the position. So if the Finance Committee Secretary is a part-time or uncompensated position, then that position itself would be eligible to be designated. If that person also had another position with the town that was full-time, that may, and it may be, and again, we would have to look at this after, it may raise issues under the conflict of interest law, but it wouldn't prevent the position of Finance Committee Secretary from being designated as a special position, as long as it's a part-time position.
Thank you.
You're talking about the finance committee's portion. That's part-time. The individual
That
work
particular position for the Finance Committee is a part-time position.
is a part-time position, and that makes it eligible, even though the person,
Full-time
it's a
person. is
full-time
in that.
person.
We would have to hypothetically look at the other implications, but
Okay.
the fact of the position itself is appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sean Riley, 26 Russell Lane. I just want to mention 3.5 other positions that may or may not need action on it soon. only just watching your meetings versus the Personnel Board, I understand you're looking for volunteers, and I'm not sure if that is an issue, whether you want to kind of let people know whether that'll have a special or not status. Town Manager Search Committee, I think we need a volunteer from the town. Charter Review, we don't really need yet. I think that's in 2014, but it will be coming up. And then just the last one, I know it was an issue a year or two ago, and I don't remember how it was resolved, but I remember that the issue about certain people in town who were also snowplow drivers, they had certain positions, a part-time secretary or something also was getting paid as a snowplow. I know you didn't change anything here tonight, but I remember that was a big concern, was not to reverse that so we didn't have snowplow drivers. Just want to alert, nothing can be handled perhaps tonight, but not to miss that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes, Henry.
if I could suggest that maybe put on the agenda for your next meeting, a list of those committees that you need to formally disband and make this.
That was going to be my next, thank you very much, yes, yes. I've actually already talked to the town manager and the assistant town manager about that, so that will hopefully be on the agenda for the next meeting. Town manager report.
I have nothing at this point, other than town meeting went as successful as could be. Pretty good town meeting overall.
Item number 3, public comment. Any public comment? No public comment.
Chairman.
No, yes, Henry.
Kenny's gonna
I
get
get
his
my
wish.
Henry DiCarlo, 187 Central Street, and my public comment is that we have got a tremendous number of trash barrels standing out on the curbs around town, and I think there's been a huge amount of confusion as to which days, which holidays are real holidays, or not trash holidays, which ones aren't. And I think we should try to keep it simple and keep it consistent. I know on my street I saw it happen, and then as I drove around town every day this week, people thought that there was a one-day delay, and yes, they could have gone online and maybe found it somewhere or become aware of it, but people are used to delaying one day. We have, and for 16,000 people to try to figure out which holiday is a holiday and which one isn't. So I think we should revisit the trash contract, try to get it consistent, try to keep it consistent with the past practice, unless there's some big savings for the town. And I put that, and I'll be heading over to the Board of Health to have that same discussion with them.
Thank you.
If you could ask somebody to revisit that contract.
Well, let me just comment on that. We did send home information to every resident in town as to what the holiday trash collection is. There's really 5 holiday trash collections, and that's when most people are not working. And but the real confusion for most people is Veterans Day, which is really most people are working on Veterans Day, and eventually people will get used to the 5-day holiday. It's easier to remember 5 than it is to remember 11 or 12. And we did send home, Henry, you should look at your mail and make sure that people have gotten that flyer, that handout. It lists the delayed holidays. It lists when your not bulky items, but your yard waste will be picked up.
Christmas trees listed
And
on
it
there,
also discusses when Christmas tree. It's a nice
Was
little
that a recent
calendar.
mailing?
Calendar, yeah.
Oh, was it?
Did everyone get
Must
it?
have missed it, Henry.
I've got it right handy. Yeah.
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 And there was a magnet that was sent out, so that talks about your bulk pickup and who to call. So if you put the magnet in with on the refrigerator with the schedule, I don't think it'd be much of an issue.
Okay.
I can say that if the town manager would drive around town, there are probably barrels on every street in this town sitting out there for a week. We were 6 days early.
We're not going to resolve it here. I mean, people got notice, you can only give so much notice, and I think it's also up on the website, I think.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
We have a motion to adjourn?
Well, Mr. Chairman, and due to the fact that the vice chairman is sitting in the audience in absentia, I will stand in for him and I'll move we adjourn.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Everybody happy and safe Thanksgiving. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it.